Hello and welcome to my video for Microsoft Flight Sim on how to use the ILS. For an ILS approach you need a number of things. First of all, for the ILS to be active, it's a radio device, so it only has a range of 26 miles. So number one, you have to be within 26 miles or less of the runway. Secondly, it has to have an ILS fitted, obviously. Thirdly, you need the information like the ILS frequency and so forth to set up for the landing, and also you have to arrange your flight so that you cross the ILS, you cross the extended runway heading, which is called the localizer. The ILS is two beams. It's got a glide slope beam that tells you what height you should be at, and it's got a localizer beam which tells you where the runway is exactly. So I've made a small flight plan just to get me down. It's from waypoint Ferret, Foxtrot Echo Romeo Alpha Tango, and the end of it is Mayfield Mike Alpha Yankee. You can see it just there. That takes me down past the runway that I want to land at. So the airport is Gatwick Echo Golf Kilo Kilo, and if you look at the map, you'll see that my flight plan should intercept the runway. There's the runway there, 26 left, it's the left one there. So the ILS will come out in a straight line for 26 miles and it will cross my flight path about there. So as I cross that, I'll pick that up in my cockpit on my ILS, and I can turn in and hopefully land. I'll also be using this little red dot here, Golf Echo, which is an NDB. 338 is its frequency. And I can use that as an aid to help me find out when I'm going to establish on the localizer. Fuck off. It's time now to put in some of the information I need to make this landing. First of all, you get this on the airport. First of all, the course of the runway is 261, so I put that in. As you see, as I turn the course, you'll see the arrow there turning towards 261. This just gives you it's a better visual aid as to where you are with respect to the runway. So that's that. And the next is the ILS frequency for 26 left, which is 1109. So that goes in nav1. So just change that in the standby 1109. Click it over, and that's the nav setup. That's the ILS setup. And I'm also going to use the nav aid, the GPA, the NDB that's near the runway. So that's 338, so I'll put that into the ADF. So if I put 3, you can use the A key for this, 338. So the first thing you'll see is that the ADF's become active, and it shows me the ADF will always point directly to the NDB, which is was the red dot. So it's telling me my heading from the NDB is 240 degrees, and the runway is 261. So as you can see, as I head down parallel to the runway, that's going to come round, and when it gets to that point, I'll be in line with the runway, and I can use it just as an aid to tell me when I'm going to be becoming established. As you can see now, just as I spoke there, the ILS has become active. It tells you VOR1's active. It tells you the distance you are from the airport, which is 28 miles, and it also tells you this is the localizer, and at the moment it's saying that the runway is off to the right of my present heading, which isn't correct. When you first turn it on, it takes a few minutes to settle down, and in a minute that'll change over to being on the left hand side. Also the other part of the ILS, there it is, it's just flicked over, so that's telling me that the runway is off to my left. The other part hasn't become active yet, which is the glide slope, and all I have to do now is just carry on in this heading until the localizer's in the middle. It'll move down slowly, and when it gets to the middle, it means you're lined up with the runway. A little bit further down the flight path now, as you can see, the ADF's almost in line with runway heading. So when that's lined up with runway heading, the localizer will start to come down as I go through the centre line. And if I wait too long, it'll actually come out the other side, and the runway, there it's coming down now. So I'm just going to quickly turn the heading onto runway heading, and that means I'm now right in line with the runway. As you can see, I've gone through a little bit, so the runway's now gone from my left hand side to my right hand side. So I just have to go through a little bit and aim a wee bit to the right of the runway heading, and that'll bring that back on course. You'll notice that the glide slopes became active now as well, and it's I'm well below the glide slope. At 15 miles, the glide slope at 3,000 feet is my altitude, 3,500, and that equates to about 12 miles or something. So it's always a good. I'm just going to press the approach switch now. So that's for an auto landing. And what the autopilot does now, it'll go left and right itself to centralise this localizer. So you don't have to do anything else now. You can just leave the autopilot to do this. You'll notice the altitude white light's still on, and what the autopilot does is it realises that you're below the glide slope, and it'll just hold the plane level at altitude until it picks up the glide slope. If you look now, you'll see that the glide slope's slowly beginning to come down, and that's because as I get nearer the airport, the glide slope is getting lower and lower, and it'll come to a point where it actually intercepts, as they say, that the glide slope is at the correct height for you at that distance. And just watch the altitude light there, the white light. I'm not doing anything to this. When the glide slope, when the plane's on the glide slope, the altitude light will go out and it will start to descend on the glide slope. So there's the altitude lights going out, and you can see now that the plane's starting to descend. So basically the autopilot's doing everything now at 10 miles, and it'll just all I have to do is adjust my speed, which I should have done a bit earlier. It was a bit high, to about 150 knots, and just put the flaps on. So basically I can just adjust the speed and the flaps, and the autopilot will keep the plane lined up with the runway and descending with the glide slope. See, it's getting a little bit high there. When it does that, the plane, it kind of does it and kind of fits and starts. So now it's descending now to try and get back on the glide slope again. I'm just carrying on down the approach. As you can see, I'm at 6 miles now. There's the ADF we tuned, GE. You can see it's right on the middle of the runway. So when I get to 5 miles, you'll see that needle, the ADF, because it's behind us now. You'll see the needle swing round and point backwards. And basically, I'm going to carry on now on approach. And you can see I'm just coming up to the NDB now, and as you can see, as I pass over the top of it, that blue light should come on, but for some reason it doesn't work on this one. And that's me inside 5 miles now. When I get to about a mile out, I'll just flare the plane and land. So it's just final checks here. So full flaps, speed 150 knots, landing gear down, and just basically run in at the right angle. So the glide slope's right in the middle, and the localizer's right in the middle. It's on approach. So as you can see, the VASI lights is 2 reds, 2 whites, which is what you should always be looking for. And when it gets to about a mile, which isn't very long now, I'll flick just like a normal would with the automatic pilot on a visual approach. Autopilot off, auto throttle off, flare, throttle 0, and you should have made a good landing. So I'm down to 1.5 miles now. 4, 3, 2, 1. Autopilot off, auto throttle off. Make sure that the throttle's manually at 0. And at the end, just kick it up, flare it, and that's a landing.